384,400 kilometers away and over 4.5 billion years old. The moon is responsible for stunning eclipses, shifting tides, and being our planet's only natural satellite. However, there might be more to the satellite than meets the eye. Literally. It has been speculated that the moon is simply an outer shell with a secret hidden base inside. But where did the hollow moon theory come from? In 1901, author H.G. Wells released The First Men on the Moon, a fiction novel that explored a grand trip to space where the main characters met an alien race living on the inside of the moon. Though space and the moon weren't explored until some 80 years after the release of the book, when man did make it, they discovered something, well, odd. Seismometers were placed on the moon's surface by the astronauts during the Apollo missions. They were there to capture vibrations and movements. They were able to regularly obtain information regarding the moon's activities throughout the ensuing years. These seismometers recorded data for the Earth up until 1977, when a cost-cutting measure forced their shutdown. These radio transmissions revealed a lot of details about the moon's interior composition. The existence of moonquakes was one of the major findings. These were divided into 4 different categories. NASA astronauts set up seismic recording equipment on the lunar surface at the end of the Apollo missions to capture both man-made and natural moonquakes. Their technology captured events such as meteorite collisions, artificial explosions, and Apollo rocket crash landings. Even the thawing of the moon on a daily basis by the sun's heat generated seismic activity. A number of ALSOPs, or Apollo Lunar Surface Experiment packages, were sent to the astronauts in order to set up seismographs and start detonations that range from shotgun-like charges to mortars with numerous explosives. In the end, NASA deliberately crash-landed the Apollo 12 module and the SIVB rocket, detonating an explosive force roughly equal to 12 tons of TNT. They discovered that the moon rings like a bell, sometimes for hours at a time. Being unaware of the moon's mineral makeup, NASA and the Apollo astronauts were taken aback by what they heard and the implications it implied. It was obvious that the density of the moon was far lower than that of Earth. The presence of a water vapor cloud on the moon was another peculiar feature noted from one of Apollo 14's ALSOPs. After 40 years, NASA said that it's discovered the presence of water and rock samples returned from these flights, claiming that the result would alter the way we view the moon. Further investigation revealed that this water contained twice as much of the deuterium isotope as the water from Earth. They said that there are grounds to think that 600 million tons of water are trapped in moon craters. NASA first claimed that the Apollo 14's observation of water vapor was the product of water tanks that had burst and released Earth water into space. Given that the containers NASA was referring to only held 60 to 100 pounds of water, their explanation is unlikely. This vapor cloud reached 100 square miles and persisted for 14 hours before evaporating. Despite being more than 100 miles apart, NASA stated that the water from the broken tanks exploded simultaneously. Why did it take 40 years to examine and find water in the rock samples returned from the Apollo missions? And why would they make such an outlandish claim? Is there something they don't want us to know? In February 2009, Brad Bailey, NLSI staff scientist, responded to the following question on the NASA website. What is the truth behind the studies of the moon being hollow, or at least the common beliefs? I'm sorry to report that there's no scientific evidence in the support of a hollow moon. This myth was originated by H.G. Wells' 1901 book, The First Men on the Moon, and was perpetuated by subsequent literary works, such as Edgar Rice Burroughs' mid-1920s books, The Moon Maid and The Moon Men, in which the moon is hollow, supports an interior breathable atmosphere, and is inhabited by a race of moon men. Unfortunately, ideas such as these found in fictional works of literature frequently make their way into the mainstream public eyes and are mistaken for scientific fact. Some people may argue that the moon's lower overall density, 60% that of the Earth's average density, and seismic ringing from a jettisoned portion of the Apollo 12 lunar lander indicate a hollow moon. However, the giant impact which formed the moon stripped off the low-density upper crust of the Earth and is likely the cause of the low density. Additional seismic and gravity studies, as well as moments of inertia calculations, all reveal that the moon has an interior similar to that of the Earth. From out to in, crust, upper mantle, inner mantle, molten outer core, and crystallized solid inner core. Was this done in an attempt to diffuse questions from the public? Could the mountain of evidence for a hollow moon and the elaborate tests concluded by NASA themselves really be put to rest? On July 11th, 2014, the 45th anniversary of Apollo 11's moon landing, the government released details regarding Project Horizon, a covert space program from the 1950s. The construction of a long-term military facility on the moon was proposed in the plan. The nuclear weapons and all their supplies would be dispatched along with 10 to 20 personnel. The men would be constantly in contact with Earth from the Covert Lunar outpost, which would be utilized for protection from and monitoring of the Soviet Union. According to the documents that have been made public, the scientists were aware that the plan couldn't be carried out, but that it would eventually be implemented as technology developed. Project Horizon was never launched. However, the story of the covert space programs from the past, present, and future doesn't end there. According to recently made public documents, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt launched a covert space program in the 1940s. In the event of a nuclear war, he was concerned about how to evacuate a sizable population without causing severe radiation harm. He reasoned that there might also be a need to flee the effects of another major worldwide catastrophe. He thought about relocating vast populations to places in space, since there was nowhere on Earth that could accommodate them. Moving to Alpha Centauri, the closest star, at first appeared to be an option. However, the distance precluded such a scheme. Roosevelt then turned his attention to the Moon, Mars, or Venus as potential replacements for Earth. NASA wasn't the only one to begin questioning the structure of the Moon. In 1970, two Soviet scientists explored the idea, proposing that the Moon was indeed hollow, and like H.G. Wells, theorized that extraterrestrials were living inside. There are a number of strange facts concerning the Moon's relationship to the Earth. Even if it seems impossible that an alien race on it is watching us, or that a hollow moon may have been installed in the Earth's orbit as a covert moon base. Many hypotheses exist today that try to explain how the moon came to orbit our planet, but none of them have been universally accepted, leading many to conclude that the moon is a spacecraft. It's possible that life on Earth wouldn't exist, or at least wouldn't have developed to the point that it has, if the moon weren't orbiting the Earth in the same location that it is. Less than 10% of all terrestrial planets in the cosmos are thought to have an Earth-to-Moon ratio similar to ours, which offers the stability required to sustain a climate that can support life. Gary McKinnon, an IT expert living in Scotland, gained access to thousands of classified government documents. Between February 2001 and March 2002, McKinnon broke through the security barriers protecting NASA and the U.S. military networks, and he claimed to have discovered a paper labeled Non-Terrestrial Officers. He clarified that ranks and names of unidentified people were listed on this Excel document. McKinnon also found another sheet, which included tabs for material transfers between ships. McKinnon also discovered indications of an extremely fast anti-gravity propulsion device. Additionally, he discovered proof of portal technology, which when combined with anti-gravity propulsions would enable quick space travel to other stars and planets, faster than anything. Nothing can reportedly move faster than the speed of light, according to Einstein's hypothesis. Furthermore, given that NASA doesn't appear to have access to the anti-gravity technologies, it indicates that the black budget maintains these secrets, even from NASA. It continues to use fossil fuels to power its rockets. According to McKinnon, he has seen almost 300 images of buildings and civilizations that have existed on the moon's dark side. He claims that any photographs that are made public have these structures, which are alien bases on the moon, erased from them. Unfortunately, he was using a dial-up connection when he broke into the computers, so he couldn't download the pictures. He claims to have taken a screenshot of one that was saved on his computer, but when he was detained, his computer was taken away. Later, when he got his computer back, the picture was gone. Could a theory so far out there as a hollow moon really be true? With NASA being the driving force behind the spark of the idea before the eventual cover-up, it's hard to dismiss the idea. With the idea of planets being hollow, especially Earth, which we've already covered on this channel, it's not something we're going to be so quick to ignore. So, what do you think?